I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Very well, thank you.
So I had like a pre-arrangement with Neda. I told her I'll be joining today about the topic.
Ah, that's really wonderful. It's your friend, Neda. Yeah, so Yahya, right?
Yes, I'm Yahya. Yeah, that's right.
Hello there, Yahya. Welcome with us.
Thank you. Glad to be with you on board.
Wonderful. I think you're the person who suggested this topic.
Yes, I did. I was the one suggesting that topic. I believe it's a really pressing topic for a lot of like youth in Iraq, especially like the job seekers in terms like the ones who look for jobs within the private sector companies.
You work in a private sector, right?
Uh, I have like 11 years career path, which is like 95% within the 90% within the private sector employment and like 10 or 15% within freelance jobs.
Oh, that's impressive. That's cool.
Thank you. So, I would like to start. Like, do you want me to start the discussion, or you have certain like questions that you want me to answer, or what do you suggest?
Just go ahead. I mean, you picked the topic after all. But also, we do want to ask you one question. Like, if you have advice for young people looking for jobs, what would it be?
Well, I would be more than happy to address that question, but maybe what like would we leave it? Would it be good to leave it to the end of the discussion, like to the end of the
Sure.
call? So yeah, so I'd like to start by saying that like many of Iraqi graduates dream about landing a public sector job in Iraq.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a fact because like and a big problem at the same time because like most of the people like for the public sector jobs guarantees security like income security, financial security, but at the same time it offers no development, no personal development, no experience development. Like I'm talking about the vast majority of fields. I'm excluding, for example, we can exclude medical field because we know that doctors, pharmacists, and even dentists would have a great deal of experience during their public sector jobs and employment. But like for others, for example, I'm an engineer and we have like almost 400,000 engineers in Iraq nowadays, and that's only the registered with the Iraqi Engineers Union, and the numbers are increasing every year. And like the vast majority of those engineers, especially the fresh graduates, they do aspire for and dream about a job in the public sector because it's stable, and once you have landed the job then that's it, no one can fire you, on the opposite of what like you can see in the private sector. You have to prove yourself and prove your value on daily basis. So but like what I want to shed the lights on in this call is the issue of young professionals, young graduates seeking or dreaming about landing a public job. It's a serious matter that needs to be solved because like it's a burden. It's a burden on the country's budget, and it's a burden on everything, and it's a burden on the youth themselves because like you sometimes see years flying by of our age, and you're achieving absolutely nothing in terms of like the professional development or your career or something like that. So we need to understand the underlying roots of and causes of that. Like, what's so special about the public sector job in Iraq that makes many people willing to do anything to land one? And by anything, I mean using connections, sometimes favoritism, or even paying bribes that could reach thousands of dollars to get a job that would not pay more than few $100s a month at best.
Yeah. I think this is how I'm gonna say something that comes from parents. Yeah, I was gonna mention it has lots of points. Some you mentioned, some parents influence, and the private sector is competitive, as you said. But the public, if you don't like the job and you're doing bad, the worst thing they can do, they just relocate you, not fire you easily. Also, retirement. That is a point. Also, I don't know why young people youth think of retirement from that age.
Well,
I still don't know.
If we want to talk about also retirement, there are even outside. For example, the person that I don't know very well about is Morocco. In Morocco, even if you get private, I guess, right?
Or public.
Yeah, public, sorry, public. So when you see that, of course you're gonna, oh, this has more
Yeah, and easy, like
easier
the
and
easy
more.
way to
Yeah,
go.
exactly. So I think this is also a matter to talk about.
And of course, parents. This is the most important point, because even if you wanna progress and stuff, parents will tell you no, go with that. They will encourage you to take the easy road.
That's so true.
Well,
Yeah,
What can you say about this?
well, I totally agree with what you like just focused on. Like, one of the most compelling reasons for young people in Iraq to prefer a public sector job is like it's job security for life, just like I said. Like, in my opinion, this is the main reason. And like, as all Iraqi know, it's very rare that a public sector employee, just like Neda said, maybe it's very rare that a public sector employee is going to be fired, except for something like major he or she have done. So it takes someone in the level of a minister deputy or a minister to fire a public sector employee or staff member. So this is the main thing. While on the other hand, in a private sector job, and I have seen this along my career, you can be fired with an email, like, or for some sentence you said like by mistake. So look at the huge difference here. So, but like if we want to take this discussion to the next level, then on the other hand, a private sector job would typically pay more, like more than double or even more in compensation if compared to a public sector job. However, job security, just like I said, it's nowhere to be found, and a public sector employee at any given point for any given reason can find themselves jobless. So it's somehow like a hard balance to tackle, and it all depends on if we refer back to our situation in Iraq. I believe that the laws of the labor laws and the organizational laws and the internal management systems of the private sector companies, it's all factors that are like pouring into the situation we're finding ourselves in right now. So the absence of job security in the private sector is mainly linked to either lack of existing laws or regulations, or even like when present, it's like the lack of its enforcement. Sorry. So even if like we have outdated laws that goes back like decades to the past, but it's not even these outdated and unfair laws. It's not on the private sector companies. Like you see that the vast majority of the private sector workers in Iraq, they don't even have a proper employment contract. And in case of any conflicts happens between the employee and the employer, then there is nothing to document that they were employees, and in that case they cannot go to the court or any authorities to prove themselves or take their rights. That's a major issue. And
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, over here, Yahya, with all these qualities and comparing between the private and the public, who wins?
Well, in my opinion, it depends. Look, if you're working in my experience, like I'm talking about my personal experience, if you landed a good job with an international company or an NGO in Iraq, then you are on the winning side. But if you're working with a local company or even an international one with no an entity that has no system established and no proper contract signed and no proper rights for the employees, then like even a public sector job that pays less than half would be better than such a situation, because like as said, you may find yourselves jobless at any given point, and at that point it would not be like good at all. Like you'll be left, if the monthly salary was your sole source of income, you will lose that, and this is where troubles start starting out.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think all public jobs are the same and offers the same?
Also not. Like if you land a public sector job within certain ministries, like the exterior. Sorry?
We can all agree that it's about the type of system established in it.
Exactly. I was gonna say that it's a system.
Yeah, it's a system. So
yeah, exactly.
It has to do with the private or the public, rather than the system established about it, right?
That's right. Like and in terms like of like it's an issue, and it's good that we are acknowledging it, because this is half of the solution, and in terms of solving it, I think that like the major part should be played also by the authorities, by the government, because like enforcing laws on private sector companies, it's the government or the authorities' work, and what's remaining is for these private sector institutions to abide by these rules or instructions. And like the ultimate solution, in my opinion, is to even like empower the private sector role in Iraqi economy even more, because it's until this point it's still marginal. So it should be empowered. It should take like, we know that in most of the modern countries, the private sector is the real wheel of the economy, not the public sector. So yeah, so in our case, it's the opposite, and it cannot continue. Like we know that Iraq revenues comes like 90% or 95% from oil. Exactly. And this is in terms of the new trends and technologies, the sustainable and green energy, and the entire world going towards that. We may find ourselves like the demand on oil is expected to decrease with time, within 20, 30 years, maybe like 50 years.
Happen with that?
Exactly. So if we don't have a powerful private sector that enjoys diversity, equity, and gender balance, and equal employment opportunities for everyone, then we will find ourselves in a real trouble. And then in the current situation where like most of the money that the state has comes from oil, like 60% of that of the national budget, annual national budget, goes to the salaries of the public sector staff. So when the oil prices drops and there's no more money, who is going to pay these employees? And then in light of that, if the state economy starts collapsing, then the private sector will collapse with it frequently, consequently. So like it's an urgent matter, pressing matter, and I hope that the Iraqi government starts like paying serious attention to it, start like updating.
I would like also to say what you said, and we need to keep up with the world. That is like an important point. And we also, there's another issue. We need to also self-improve, because most of people nowadays, they just want jobs, and they are literally doing nothing. They have zero experience. They don't work on themselves, and they just want to have a job and get money. No, you need to work for it, because if you work for it, listen, no one nowadays can't get a job if like they really worked for it. I mean, at some point at least, right?
That's true.
That's right. That's right.
We do have also lots of opportunities regardless. We do have lots of opportunities here and there, but it is sometimes, yes, it is hard to get, not easy, but definitely not impossible. Some countries, they do, it is kind of impossible for some countries, actually. And also there's an important point. Even with the government job, about the government job and all of that, even with Corona, most countries, they didn't get paid during that time, and their economy was really destroyed. But in Iraq, we still got paid even during Corona and with the curfew and all of that, and that's another point. There's like upside and downside in each country, in each private and public, and all of that.
Yeah.
So these are also points.
All right. Well, Yahya, thank you for joining us, and thank you for mentioning all these informations. And for over here, we totally agree. And well, also thank you for the topic.
But you didn't tell us, what would you advise young people to afford for a job, looking for jobs?
Of course.
Yeah. So within the advice, I'll be addressing the points you mentioned, Nada. Like, I totally agree with you. We have been, during my entire call with you for like the past 20 minutes, we have been criticizing the entities in the private sector as well as the public sector. So let's not even like only put the blame on these sides, but also address some advice to our youth. So I have seen a lot of people who like complain about not finding a job in the public sector, the private sector, and saying that it's all like favorism, it's all like you have to have connections, you have to pay for it. But let's look at the truth. At like this is we have some like we have to acknowledge we have some dangerous level of corruption in both public and private sectors in Iraq. But like, and this is a completely different topic we may discuss in other days if you like. But yeah. So but like for the people.
Advice.
Yeah, exactly. For the young people, if you're seeking a job in the private sector, you have to prove your value. You have to know that it comes with your skills and with your experience. If you don't have experience, then it's good to look for internships, work for free, so you can learn and have the experience, and then start looking for paid jobs. You can start looking for internships even when you're still a student, a college student. You don't have like to graduate until wait until after graduation to do that. So when you are graduated, you can have a chance to compete in the local market. And the golden rules for any, like, regardless the speciality or the profession you're seeking or chasing, you have to improve your English language skills, and you have to improve your computer skills. These are keys for like vast majority of jobs in the private sector. So you have to focus on that, and do your best. Never quit. If your tries to land a first, second, 10th job didn't work out, then you just keep trying, and you never know when it will happen. It will happen eventually, sooner or later.
Yeah, true. Totally.
Well, Yahya, thank you so much for your lovely advice. You said it literally all, really.
Yeah,
you suggested the topic. That's really wonderful. And thank you again, really. Thank you for joining us in this evening, all right?
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to
one day we can have you over here at the cafe to join us.
Sure.
It'll be wonderful.
Yeah. I'm looking for that too. We should do it. Yes, let's plan for that.
You're welcome. You're really welcome.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, well,
have a lovely evening.
Have a lovely evening.
You too. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye. You too. Bye.